on the TL, you'll be able to retweet it.
Refresh.
Straight chillin'. Okay. Yes. Yes. People. 4 viewers. Beautiful. That's right too. We get chat comments as well, in case. Oh no. Okay, whatever. That's fine. Get chat comments as well. So if people drop in questions, we can take those from the audience. So it'll be good.
Awesome. I just retweeted it.
Banging. Okay. Let's chill for a bit. Get these homies in here. I was surprised yesterday. I just periscoped just for fun. I had like 15 recurring viewers, so I think we'll definitely get 20 or so.
It's awesome, man.
20 or so recurring. Yeah, this was just like shooting by the hip.
Dude, so what happened with you coming back? Like, this is your first one back. You just getting back into the flow?
Yeah, I got back on last Friday, and then I had my birthday weekend, and then I was just, I was thinking like, okay, client stuff is more important first. Get back in the groove there. Okay, health, get that back, and then now it's like, all right, now I can do my art house again once that stuff stabilized.
Yeah, that's good. Prioritizing. That's what it's
Yeah,
all
man.
about.
All right, let's do the intro and. I love that feature. That is so sick. All right, we are here. The return of Art House after probably like a month and a half or so of no Art House. Sorry to keep you all waiting. We are here with the high energy Danny Miranda. He just started his podcast, which hopefully I'll be able to slide on and talk some things myself. But we have him here to discuss some really amazing things about his life, his experiences, and how he became the fine man he is today. Danny, how the hell are you doing?
I am doing absolutely wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm really happy to have you on. It's been too long. We haven't actually had a chat, even though we're our mindsets are very similar towards life and our values and stuff. So it's very weird that this is taking this long, but I'm glad we're finally doing it.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because you feel like you know someone, you read their tweets long enough,
Yeah.
and and then you actually talk to them and you're like, "Holy smokes, I feel like I've known you for so long." So that's what it was like when we started this before pressing record, so no surprise there.
Yeah, just immediate chemistry, immediate banter. So, for those that don't know, Danny used to have his account used to be way different. Can you tell us a little bit more what you when you first got on Twitter, like what your focus was on tweeting and stuff?
Yeah, man. It was I created this Twitter account at Danny Roars because I wanted to document my e-commerce journey. And it was crazy because the people that I was looking at on Twitter were all tweeting a certain way, and being a 23-year-old kid, I was just like, okay, I'm going to go down this route. I'm going to tweet about e-commerce. I'm going to tweet just whatever I want basically, and not even think twice. And it was all e-commerce focused, and it was honestly a lot more fear based. The tweets that I was tweeting out, looking back, I've gone through some of them. I'm like, wow, those were really there was a lot of fear there in a lot of the
Hmm.
things I was saying. And now, going to the transition, the title of this episode, the transition just being way more love based in everything I do, every interaction, every
Hmm.
tweet, I hope. And so that's the biggest difference between where I was and where I am today.
Hmm. Hmm. Can you explain a bit more about that? Because some people who aren't very spiritual, religiously minded might be like, "What?" Like, what does that mean? You went from being sad and scared to huggy and kissy. Like, they don't really understand the semantics. So, like, what is a love based like heart center for you?
Yeah, man. So for me, it's looking at every interaction and asking, how can I put more love into this? Looking at every tweet and saying, how can I add more love? And looking at myself and being, how can I love myself? And I think that, men in general, or at least personally, I always shied away from love. Love was something that I was like, that's not really for me. Love, like girls, deal with love. And me, I'm not loving or anything like that. I would never use love to describe myself. But what's really fascinating is that as I tore back the layers on myself through meditation, through yoga, through just self reflection and affirmations, literally just saying I love myself over and over again in my head, it changed my relationship with myself, which then changed my relationship with every single person I was interacting with.
Yeah, very similar experiences from lots of different people who've, talked about, having a love focused energy. It's all about, peeling back the layers, like you said. It's all about breaking down the trauma and whatnot. Was there a specific moment where you were like, okay, things need to change, or something just happened to you and you felt a certain way and you're like, I need to go deeper with this? Or was it just kind of a gradual, like, hey, like, I want to start shifting away from what I'm doing, yada, yada, yada,
Yeah,
so
that's
on,
a
so on?
great question. What happened for me was a little bit of both. And what I mean by that is I started meditating and taking yoga classes in September of 2019 when I was living in San Diego.
Yep.
And these were really good groundings for me to have these practices, this 20-minute meditation practice to start my day, a yoga practice that I was doing while lifting. Like these were good steps, but then it wasn't until I really got, I would call it depressed almost, where I was just like so upset with life, where I was like, all right, I really need to analyze, I really need to go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I started doing, man. It was just like it was a depression period, I would call it, from mid-January of this year to March of this year, where I was really upset. I saw coronavirus happening and coming, and I was like, wow, the world is going to look like this. Like, what is the world going to look like? And I got really upset about just my own personal prospects in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was only when I stood back and started loving myself and just repeating, I love myself, I love myself, and going into deeper meditation sessions and really trying to figure out what blockages I had, did the world start to shift.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, definitely. And I mean, you've probably know I've noticed this in my life. You've probably noticed this in your life as well. The more you peel back the layers, and the more you really understand, like, you understand that you're not happy how you're living, but you don't know why. The more you peel back, it's all based on fear, and you figure out it's all based on trauma and things that happened to you, and grudges you're holding and baggage that you're just refusing to drop.
Yeah, man. And this is why I recommend the 60-minute meditation sessions, because when I was doing 20 minutes, I didn't get to that point of really just like going deeper on those issues. But when I hit 60 minutes, things would come up from high school, things would come up from college, either mistakes that I made or mistakes that people did to me that I was holding on to. And it was when I was doing these 60-minute sessions where I could identify it. And once I identified that issue, I was then free from it.
You can't rush these things, can you? It's
No,
very.
absolutely not, man. It's like it's such a process. And I think that goes back to where I was in my e-commerce days, which was like I was trying to get everything so quickly. It was all about overnight success. It was all about how can I just do this really quickly? How can I make a lot of money tomorrow? I don't
Hmm.
care about anything else. I just want to make money. And now I'm much more of the mindset of like, let it be slow. The journey is the destination. This
Hmm.
is if it takes longer, that's good. Like you're gonna enjoy it more. It's gonna mean more. And I think I at least wanted to go fast. And
Hmm.
the thing is, slow with execution can be a lot better sometimes.
I think the medium itself lends to that desire for speed because we're on a quick bite-sized social media network that's blasting us with short text-based information constantly. We see we're following a bunch of different people's lives who are in some senses way more advanced than us in certain fields that we aspire to be. So then when we see their wins constantly thrown in our face, we think, I'm running out of time. I got to go now. I got to get this done. And, I still have that in me. I still have, ever since I turned 21, it's like, okay, I'm starting to get older. I'm starting to run out of time overall with my life. But but along with that, my patience has increased too, because what I've noticed is that when I don't have the rush in my mind, when I don't have the this needs to get done this way in my mind, things end up coming faster naturally. They end up coming smoother. They end up coming in ways that are better for how I want to truly be living instead of just fast food way, basically.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because if you just surrender, right, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna, I don't care how long this is gonna take, and let it be what it is, and then what you find is that things come a lot quicker than you realize. Like, what I mean by that is like, I'll give you a real world example. Is just
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
me saying I love myself. I didn't know what this was going to lead to. I just wanted to love myself because I was in a place of not loving myself. So
Right.
I wanted to love myself so badly. And then what I realized was just by doing that, then it led to people loving me. Like it was weird. I love myself truly. And then it led to other people having that same reaction back to me. And I thought this was going to take a long time, but then it happened in a couple of months. So it was just a very interesting thing where I was like, wow, that happened a lot quicker than I thought it would. And it had a huge impact. So,
We are conduits for energy, and so all we have to do is just make some ourselves, and then it'll entice other people to make theirs. And then also too, the more positive you get, the more upward focused, the more divine oriented, whatever you want to call it. The more that you get, the more you realize that okay, I can easily figure out now who's really with me, and also who I need to just leave behind right now, who's just gonna bring down my energy, who's going to try to just take my energy from me. You have to be really protective with it.
yeah. And it's really fascinating. It's such a great point because I had a period from September to December where I was really feeling life. Life was flowing, life was going. There was a crazy number of synchronicities occurring that I wrote down that is just like stuff that would blow your mind, right?
Yeah.
And
Give us one. Give us one.
yeah, man. So
One at the top of your head.
yeah, of course. So I was sending cold emails out and life
Yeah.
was flowing and I was meditating and I was just doing the things daily that needed to be done. Sending cold emails out and I sent one to Charlie Jablay, Charlie Rocket. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
No.
He two Chains' former manager, an
Okay. Okay.
Ironman triathlete, just a beast of a dude. And so sent him an email. He responds and he's like, "Hey, dude, call me on the phone." And I said, "Okay." And so I called him on the phone. We had a 15-minute conversation, nothing crazy. But then the next day, I go into a coffee shop in La Jolla, and I'm walking into this coffee shop, and this woman catches my eye, 50-year-old woman, and she starts a conversation with me. And I was like, "Hey, what's going on?" Like, and then she mentions, how much of a role God has played in her life, how much of a role that this church has played in her life. And she says to me, "Hey, I really think you'd like this church. In fact, we actually had the speaker. He was really cool, Charlie Jablay. He came down last week." And I was like,
Wow.
"What?" I sat down. I was standing up when I was having this conversation, and I sat down and I said, "Do you realize how crazy that is that you just said that?" And so going back to our point about connecting your energy and protecting it rather, it's like it's so important because I didn't realize that I needed to protect my energy. I didn't realize that I was doing the things every day that I needed to do. And that there was a reason why these synchronicities were happening was because I
Mm-hmm.
was doing the things in alignment. But I instead, in January, in late December, January, and February, I stopped doing all those things that I was doing, like meditation, yoga, and doing the things daily that would align with the person I wanted to be. Why I did these things? Because I felt like I'd won already. I had completed 75 hard. I thought I was capable of doing anything I wanted, but I wasn't showing it on the day to day. Point
Right.
being, like, what you're saying about protecting your energy is so important. And now I realize that going into March, and now we're in October, right? So like I've been doing that for the past 6 months, and what you're hearing on this phone call is me protecting my energy for the past 6 months. And that's why you get the higher energy person on the other end of the phone, because I've been protecting it, because I've been meditating, because I've been doing the things that are going to align with the person I want to be every single day.
Yeah. That's a crazy synchronicity. That's really wild. Yeah. The thing with protecting your energy is that, you know, especially if you're in kind of a doomer mindset, you may want to have like the high energy life, the high vibration friends, and the love and whatnot. But if you're not harnessing that in your own life, there's no chance that those people are going to want to interact with you. Like, you can't just be selfish and want everyone around you to be high energy and put up with your BS, and then you just do absolutely nothing. It's all about doing the inner work.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why it was so important for me to say I love myself every day, and for me to actually start meditating consistently, right? It's like if you do that and you do those things, it's crazy what shows up. Like, this conversation would have never happened if I didn't start doing that back in March, you know? And it's really incredible, man. And it's so real. It seems like fake, at least it seems like fake to my rationalist mind. Like, that I could just say I love myself and then the world will flip to my desires almost. It doesn't seem real to me. And so I had to prove it by doing it. And so I'm just grateful for that process.
That's a key point right there. You got to prove it to yourself first, and because people get really overwhelmed with all this stuff, the love energy, I gotta reach new levels of consciousness and raise your vibration, blah blah blah, and then it just gets so overwhelming at some point. But you just need to realize that it's small steps, right? Start today. Like, if you've never meditated before, just meditate for 5 minutes. Write down 10 things you're grateful for. Go for a walk. Do some bicep curls or something. Just do a couple things, and then realize, like, okay, these little things make me feel a little bit better. And you'll increase the quantity and quality of them, and then that will reflect in how you're feeling, and then you'll just keep going up and up and up. But you got to start where you are comfortable starting, and then got to keep putting a toe out into the unknown.
Yeah, and I think that consistency is more important than intensity, right? If you meditate one day for 20 hours in that day, you're going to be, like, that's great and all, but after 1 week, you're just not going to be in a great place. If that was the only action you did. But rather, if you did, 10 minutes of meditation every day for a week, for a month, that makes a huge difference. And so I think there's something to be said for consistency over a long period of time.
Definitely. Well, 20 hours of meditation in a day, that would be some unbelievable insights probably get gained from that. When you first started, how long were you going? Like, barefaced, absolutely no idea what meditation was until that day, and you just started. How long?
Yeah, it was 20 minutes in the morning to start, and I would do that every day, and I literally hated it. I was like, listen, Tej told me to do this. Tej Dosa, shout out Comedic Bisman, who started me on this path without me even realizing it.
Yeah.
He told me 20 minutes to start each day, and I was like, oh, like, fine, I'll do it. But, like, I don't want to. The 20 minutes were so long. You have no idea. Like, they were painful. And you just build up. You build up, and now I'm up to 60 minutes a day, right? So it's like, this was only me 1 year ago. And it should give hope to anyone who is having trouble sitting for 20 minutes. Like, listen, I went from 20 minutes to 60 minutes a day consistently, changed my life, changed my mindset. And this was the key habit that did it, right? So, yeah, I think it's it's important to realize that this has taken a year and I'm still so in the beginning of this process.
When it comes to meditating, have you noticed? Because here's the thing with me, I meditate, but again, I'm not consistent, and I've been consistent the past 3 days, and I'm gonna keep it up for the foreseeable future.
Let's go.
But, one of the things that a lot of people have said that I don't have personal direct experience with because I haven't done it enough is you hit a point like you do it for a bit and it kind of sucks and it kind of sucks and then you have one day where it's like, oh, okay, and then you get into the flow really quickly and then you realize like, oh, okay, I see why people do this after the habit after that neurological system has kind of been built. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, so it's like lifting. It's been like lifting for me the same way where the first 3 months suck. And then you realize the benefits of it. And I'll give you direct examples of benefits that I've noticed, right? So I was meditating for 3 months consistently, 20 minutes in the morning. And then one day I come home and I drive a car for the first time. Out in San Diego, I didn't have a car. When I was in New York, I had a car to drive. And so I'm driving the car and I'm stopping at a red light. And I notice that I start to feel differently. I notice I'm not hyperventilating. I feel anxious, though. I feel different. There's something about me that changed when I'm stopped at a red light. And then I started to question, why am I feeling this way? Oh, it's because I want to be at my destination. I want to be quicker to get to where I'm going. And then I realized, holy smokes, I have been my whole life, when I've been driving, I've had this reaction in the car. And I only had that. And so I was so excited that I had been able to turn my situation from anxious to excited because I just witnessed it. And then I was like, oh, I understand. Like, this makes a huge difference. It's the meditation. I'm analyzing my mind. I'm analyzing myself. And so when you're able to see it in real life, like, oh, this is what has benefited me, then you're able to continue the practice more effortlessly. Same thing with lifting, same thing with business, anything. But you have to have a period of time where it sucks in the beginning, usually 3 months for the habits that I've seen. 3 months is usually the time period. And if you can suck through the first 3 months, you can do it forever.
Nice, dude. That's powerful. That's powerful. I feel like that is with a lot of things. That first 2 to 3 months is always like the test to see if you'll quit, and then if you don't quit, it's just absolute bliss from there on out.
Yeah, and not to say it's absolute bliss, right? Because there's struggles that you still have to go through, but it's like you're still struggling lifting weight, you're still struggling in meditation sometimes, but it's like it's easier. It's easier to convince yourself to do it. And I think when you have no external results and you have no reason for something to be like, oh, this works, then you're much more likely to be like, I don't know if I want to do it. I'm just going to skip it, whatever. And so, but having no expectation, right? Like, that has certainly helped me. So what I mean by that is when I started meditating, I had zero expectation for anything to change in my life whatsoever. I just did the practice because Tej told me to, because I was like, this guy's really smart and he's brilliant and I like how he thinks and I like his mind. So I'm going to just do this practice with no expectation of getting anything from it. And I think once we start to expect things, we get into a problem where it's like, oh, I expect, to feel peace of mind. I expect to have huge muscles from lifting for X amount of time. Well, remove the expectations and just do the practice and you're set.
Yeah. Because your expectations mostly are based on some kind of trauma, are mostly based on some kind of preconception with how things should be done. When in reality, you have no idea how things should be done. You're just in it for the process. You're in it to do it. And that should be enough. And coincidentally, you'll get better results if you just do it for the love of doing it and for just enjoying it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's been my case so much. And understanding that by doing a few different habits allows you to do it for more habits, right? Like, I'm doing that for my podcast now, where I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm going to put out 100 episodes. And that's what the internal action is. Like, I can control putting out 100 episodes. I can't control what anyone thinks about it. I can't control, how many reviews it has or how many downloads, but I can directly control putting them out. So let me commit to the internal action, for more than 3 months and let's see what happens. And so
Right.
once you do it once successfully, you can do it again for a different habit.
It sounds simple, but a lot of people don't do this. Base your goals around things you can control. Don't base your goals around what other people think. Because, like you said, you might not be able to gain 20 pounds in a month going to the gym, but you could go to the gym every day and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll probably get, maybe you won't get 20, maybe you'll get more, maybe you'll get a bit less, but the fact is you went every single day and you'll have that internal satisfaction. And I find that overpowers every single sort of if you go to the gym every single day and you gain 15 pounds instead of 20 pounds, you're not going to be sad. You're going to go, oh, this is sick. I love this. Next month, let's roll, right?
Yeah.
It's just knowing where your goals originate from and making sure it's truthful to what you want and it's truthful to things that you can control yourself is very, very key.
Yeah, man. How are you doing that in your own life?
I'm just, well, like with editing, or I'll give you a good example with this. I never say that I want this to, like, I have weekly goals for clients. Like, I want to be able to have, this many followers per week on average. I want to be able to do this. But when I'm editing, I'm not thinking, okay, I got to do this to get this followers and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, I'm going to make 10 of the best things I possibly can do. And then I know at the end of the week, I will know which of these 10 videos did the best. And then I'll just extract the lessons from those 10, from let's say 3 of them do really well and 7 of them are okay. I'll extract the lessons from the 3 of them. And then next week, I'll make 10 videos based around the 3 that I made this week. And then I'll see A/B test. And then I'll just keep going. I just trust the process and just know that, regardless of the feedback from the audience, it's going to benefit my productions.
Yeah, sounds like you're doing the 100% right thing. That's what it's all about. And I love seeing the examples in a different arena. I'm
Yeah.
familiar with meditation and writing and podcasting, but to hear you talk about it in something else is really cool to me.
And I want to start talking about video more in general because I think I don't talk about video at all. I'm a videographer, and I feel there's something I can offer with that, but just I haven't been able to crack it until recently about how I can kind of tell it to people. But
How did you get into videography?
I always like making films. I had one of those like $70 little blue camcorders from Best Buy, and we would just make skateboarding videos around our neighborhood, and then that was always super fun to me. That was the best part. Not the skating, was just the editing after and shooting the video. And then I went to high school. There was a film class, and I enjoyed that, but I wasn't able to do everything I wanted to do, which made me mad because a lot of people in class didn't want to try as much. And if you know anything about filmmaking, it's a group project. It's the only group art, which is a good thing, but also a really bad thing if not everyone's on the same page. So from there, I was in community college for a bit, and I thought, I don't like community college. This is boring. So I decided to just buy a camera, and instead of going to community college, just go and make local ad videos for companies. And then now I'm here doing this stuff for online clients. And it's funny. Do you know who Ron Carruthers is?
I only know him from the one video I saw of you analyzing what made a good headline.
Okay, well, Ron. The funny thing is, Ron is like, dude, he lives 10 minutes from me. So I found him on Twitter. Was like, oh, Ron's in Carlsbad. What? So then I got a chat with him, and now we're going to be doing weekly videos. So that was just a great little connection made. But yeah, the point I was trying to make is just started young, just did it for a long time, and just did it with no intention of making money. And then I got to college, realized I have to make money to live, so I'd rather just do it doing something that I'm good at and know how to use and build some skills instead of just getting a job at somewhere I don't care about. So that's the video story for me. And now it's just been refining and teaching and trying to figure out what I really, really want to do with the medium. Whether that's go all in a video, whether that's just have it be a piece of a bigger puzzle, like that still needs to be determined. But the skill itself is gonna be super helpful to have.
Yeah. I mean, it's so cool seeing your progression, from 2018 to today, where it's just like you're doing the same thing in the
Hmm.
sense of you're doing video, and it's awesome to see like you must have gotten so much better. It's not like you're posting videos every day where I could see, but it's like
Yeah,
it's so cool to see
that's the other
that
thing.
you're sticking to the same. Yeah.
That's the other thing. The problem is that I make a lot of stuff for clients, but I don't make a lot of stuff for myself, which I need to change doing. But because the thing is, if I just repost client videos, it would just be weird because it's just like, oh, okay, this is just their content. But
Hmm.
yeah, I gotta start making more stuff for myself because that's where the fun, that's where the real fun comes from, and that's where the real learning comes from. Because with client stuff, you can't really you can experiment a bit, but you can't go balls to the wall, do a bunch of crazy stuff. You have to kind of stay in with what works. Whereas if you're just having fun, you can try anything and then extract what works.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that you can have assets then, like for yourself personally. Like every content and video you produce for yourself is like an asset that you're placing digital real estate that
Hmm.
could be valuable 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And you have a great presence on film and on video. So it's like it could translate really well to YouTube if you just start, if you commit to that internal action of like, oh, I'm going to post one video a week or whatever, or
Hmm.
one video a month, and just like build on that. And yeah, man, it's super exciting. I want to follow your stuff. So if you ever get
Well,
around to doing
thank
that,
you.
yeah, I'll be the first one to check it out.
That means a lot, man. Thanks. The thing with it is that you made a good distinction right there when it comes to content, and that's that a lot of people focus on content, not on assets, because assets are the things that are going to be there for years, and those are what people are going to keep coming back to. Companies should invest more into assets. If you want to tell your brand story, it does make sense to put in some extra bucks, get a good videographer, and really tell your story with a good quality camera. Good B-roll storytelling, all that stuff, and put it in a place where people will always be able to see it, get retouched with it, and new people that are just joining and not really sure what you're all about will be able to have a piece that they can come and like connect with right off the bat. And then it also just it cements your place in the marketplace, and in not just the marketplace but in every facet of life that you're trying to push your brand in.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes complete sense. It's like when you're building, and it's like it works for writing, right? It works for
Mm-hmm.
any practice of online content. Is like, is this something that people are going to want to see 5 years from now? Is it going to be more valuable 5 years from now than today? We don't know for
Mm-hmm.
certain with anything we put out, but it's like the more you put out, the more likely that it will be. And it's like you can you can see like, okay, is this piece of content going to be timeless? Like you can
Mm-hmm.
ask yourself that question, and it might be a good filter for anyone listening to use. That's kind of how I think about things sometimes.
Right, right. I mean, you see, this is I still think. I mean, you say you're a writer, so you understand, blogging and all that stuff, and the power that words can have. And I think like the sites that are going to last the longest are just those that have their 30 evergreen posts that are ultra helpful, that continue to be updated to this day, and just always provide immense value in something. And
Hmm.
because some people think of content as, I need to get these followers today, so I'm gonna throw out this thing, and the TikTokization of content, instead of just going, here's here's some principles, here's how to do something, here's something really valuable, and you can always revisit it, and it will always be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like back to what we were saying before, right? About the short term versus long term mentality.
Mm-hmm.
If you're thinking short term, you're like, how can I gain followers tomorrow? If you're thinking
Mm-hmm.
long term, like I'm trying to think as long term as possible. It's like, where will I be in 2030? Where will I be in 2040? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and building the habits and building the pieces of content and the assets that are going to be valuable for me then, and not thinking so much about how can I make a quick dollar here? How can I
Right.
increase followers tomorrow? Like, I know everything's going to work out for myself. Like, that's how I feel. Like, I just know that it's going to work out. So if you know it's going to work out, then you're not trying to scurry to the next quick milestone. It doesn't matter because
Right.
you have a long-term vision.
Well, like you with your newsletter, right? Your Tuesday Treasure thing. You have, what do you have, like 500 subs now?
Yeah, 432 family
Almost,
members in Tuesday Treasure, baby.
almost 500. So that's very
Yeah.
And when did you start this?
I started in late May.
Okay, so late May, June. That's pretty dang good, dude. That's pretty dang good for And the thing is too, not only are you just getting email subs, you're building a community within that. You have 432 people that are in your community.
Yeah, absolutely right. And it's like it's a much more than, an email to me. That's how I really think about it. It's much more than just like than some like thing. It's a real person on the other end. And I think that
Hmm.
got lost on me so easily and so much when I was building out Danny Roars back in 2018. That's a
Right.
huge difference, right?
Right. You're not trying. Now it was see how much money I can extract from every single one of these people. Now it's let's just hang out with these people. I'm just gonna share them some cool stuff and just vibe.
Dude, and that's why I try to get on the phone with as many people as possible, right? Like, I put out to Tuesday Treasure family members, I put out to people who are on Twitter, like, does anyone want to talk on the phone? Does anyone just want to call?
Yeah.
And people are like, yo, people expect that I'm going to sell them something. But I just want to give them love and happiness and joy and just make their day better in some small way. And that I could do that is just so gratifying, that their expectations are that people are going to sell you or that want things from you. But when you come in from just a giving mindset of like, nah, I just
Right.
want to give, then it turns into such great relationships and friendships. And I'm
100%.
so grateful for that.
The more you give, you get too. So it all works out in the end. And dude, I respect the getting on the phone stuff because I freaking hate text. Like
Yeah.
I do it purely for comms, because it is convenient sometimes if you're like, yeah, I need to meet you here or X, Y, Z, basic logistics. But if I'm having a conversation with someone, I just want to talk to them. I don't want to just sit there and type a bunch of thoughts out, like or send an email. Just get me on the phone. We can talk about it in 5 minutes and get way more in depth in those 5 minutes than it would take to have this 25-minute text conversation.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and it's crazy because my friend literally just called me before this started, and I tweeted what he said to me is just the 5 text rule. We had gone back and forth more than 5 times, so that meant that he was going to call me on the phone, and I thought that was so brilliant, and I was like, damn, I'm really going to start instituting that. And it's like if we text more than 5 times, like we might as well just have a phone conversation at that point.
Yeah,
We'll get more
yeah.
out of it in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, and especially too if it's one of those conversations that's like you send something and then 10 seconds later they respond. You guys are just having banter. It's just like let's just call.
Yeah, absolutely.
So looking to the future for you, right? You got your family member list. You got your podcast. Is there anything else we can be expecting from you for before the end of the year, or are these two things that you just gonna be grinding on them?
So it's just the podcast and just the newsletter. And I'm writing blog posts as well to just increase Google, be as kind to Google as possible, but doing 3 of these a week, 3 podcasts. So, I mean, at some point I want to get on YouTube too, just the energy and bring
Mm-hmm.
that. But I mean, for now, it's like, how can I get good and how can I get great at the craft of interviewing, of talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm going to be the number one podcast in the world, my man. Like, that's just is the way it is. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I don't care if it takes 20 years. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love podcasting. I love talking to people. I love interviewing them, and I
Yeah.
love learning. So right now, my number one focus is on the podcast and writing the newsletter. So that's basically what's going on for the rest of the year.
I'll tell you this: I'm doing this for almost 35 episodes now that the first one you do will, I mean, you've already done a couple, so you already know, but the first one you do, you're going to look back on it in 30 episodes and be like, wow, I was terrible. That's hilarious. And you're going to feel so much more natural. You're going to, like, I did no prep for this show. Absolutely no prep for this show. And I feel perfectly fine. I feel like I haven't flubbed one line. And, with you, it's going to, like, you're going to look back and be like, wow, like, I took way too long to make that point. I didn't give them enough time to talk. No, that was an interesting point that we could have gone on. And then you're going to be in 30 episodes and you're going to be realizing all these things and be like, oh, okay, that's a line he brought up. I'm going to circle back to that in 2 minutes after he's done with this point. Oh, we can go to this direction. Oh, I have this story that ties in perfectly here. It just becomes way more natural and you get into this flow state.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've recorded 30 episodes now and published 9, but it's crazy.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's the thing. I told you, I'm going to be the best in the world at this shit. So
You recorded 30, you published. Okay, all right. Well,
yeah.
Then I mean, but so then you probably can tell, like episode
it's
1
crazy.
to episode 30, you're like, oh, way better.
Bro, it's night and day, and it's so crazy because even my buddy noticed it from 4 to 6. He's like, dude, you're from 4 to 6. You're so much better than 1 to 3, and I'm like, I noticed that, but I didn't realize that other people could as well.
Oh,
and I'm just grateful because. Here's the thing, man. I just love recording conversations. I love having conversations. So what happened was I just started to do them. And I thought I was going to start with 1 a week. And now I'm up to 3 a week because I just love putting them out there. I love recording them. And I have so much of a backlog. And so, yeah, man, it's crazy how
That's
conversation
so
is really an art. And I could tell you're so much better than you were at some of the earlier ones I listened to.
Oh, geez, dude, I got complaints from people. That's how bad it was. They were like, "Yeah, I like it, but you're not that good at it." Yeah, I like it, but you need to like do X, Y, Z, blah blah blah. And then so now I'm just like, I didn't even read a book. I didn't do anything. I just listened to my old podcast and thought, okay, that was dumb. I shouldn't have said that. Oh, okay, I should have let him keep talking. Oh, X, Y, Z. And then now it's just way more natural.
Bro, but also you're what, 21 years old? Like me trying to do this at 21 years old, I would have been, like in over my head. So you're way ahead of most people and you'll be way ahead of me in 4 years if you keep it up. It's like it's all about your own journey too. Like 30 episodes, you learn a lot and by talking to people for that long. So I'm just really looking forward to your own growth because I've already seen such crazy growth from you from watching the podcast in the beginning versus today. And yeah, man, exciting time.
See, at first, the payment thing, I went from pay what you want, and then I did a bunch of different things. And then now what I'm doing, I'm just like, just donate if you want. I don't really care. just donate if you want, if you like the cast. If not, do your thing. But I don't even... it has literally nothing to do with the money anymore. I just want to do Arthaus just to talk to people. Because I can make money with all my other stuff.
Yeah, that's how I'm approaching my podcast as well. It's not about the money. It's about literally just having great conversations, learning from cool people, and just expanding in every way. When you have a conversation, you expand yourself. And because you learn from that person's experience and you really, if you're listening, you can really pick up on so much of their own mistakes and help your own life. So I just feel grateful for the opportunity to talk to cool people and, this conversation as well. I feel like I've learned so much.
Yeah, man, it's been a great one. Unfortunately, I have to get back to, I got a big masterclass I'm working on right now for Pat Stedman. I got to get back on that edit. But Danny, do you have anything you'd like to say before we have to sign off here?
No, man. All I have to say is I hope everyone listening has a wonderful day. I hope you are loving yourself. If you're not loving yourself, please send me a DM. I want to make sure you love yourself and just keep on loving life.
Good guy, Danny, right there. This has been Arthaus with Danny Miranda, and we will see you guys on the next episode. Peace out.